Welcome to The Breakdown, an infotainment video from Let's Talk It All podcast. We will be looking at the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights, the part of the U.S. Constitution that specifically deals with the rights of the citizens. There are those that will find arguments to the information presented. Consider though, that our sources are Washington, Jefferson, Adams, Hamilton, and other founding fathers.
A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. One sentence, 3 commas, and 27 words. A simple and straightforward mandate in 1791. Had the founders had any idea just how those words would become so misunderstood over the 245 years since it was written, they might have added more context. A well-regulated militia. When written in 1791, well-regulated would have referred to a certain level of training and proficiency. The militia would have referred to the citizens, people, of the new country that were not specifically part of the standing military under the control of the government.
Some context from the founders. A free people ought not only to be armed, but disciplined. George Washington, First Annual Address, to both House of Congress, January 8, 1790. The Constitution of most of our states, and of the United States, assert that all power is inherent in the people, that they may exercise it by themselves, that it is their right and duty to be at all times armed. Thomas Jefferson, Letter to John Cartwright, June 5, 1824. I ask, who are the militia? They consist now of the whole people, except a few public officers. George Mason, Address to the Virginia Ratifying Convention, June 4, 1788.
Being necessary to the security of a free state. So, this section is straightforward as it would seem. On the first reading of it, most feel it talks about a state's freedom from federal government overreach. However, some believe this may be talking about a person's state of freedom. Being able to have arms was the way to ensure your personal state of freedom from the government and from anyone else who would be trying to take it away from you.
Some context from the founders. No free man shall ever be debarred the use of arms. Thomas Jefferson, Virginia Constitution, Draft 1, 1776. As civil rulers, not having their duty to the people before them, may attempt to tyrannize, and as the military forces which must be occasionally raised to defend our country, might pervert their power to the injury of their fellow citizens, the people are confirmed by the article in their right to keep and bear their private arms. Tench Coxe, Philadelphia Federal Gazette, June 18, 1789.
These 14 words cannot be clearer. The right of the people, to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed.
Some context from the founders. The right of the people, to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia, composed of the body of the people, trained to arms, is the best and most natural defense of a free country. James Madison, Annals of Congress 434, June 8, 1789. Guard with jealous attention the public liberty. Suspect everyone who approaches that jewel. Unfortunately, nothing will preserve it but downright force. Whenever you give up that force, you are ruined. The great object is that every man be armed. Everyone who is able might have a gun. Patrick Henry, Speech to the Virginia Ratifying Convention, June 5, 1778. Clarification from the founders. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. Thomas Jefferson, Letter to James Madison, January 30, 1787. What country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. Thomas Jefferson, Letter to James Madison, December 20, 1787. The laws that forbid the carrying of arms are laws of such a nature. They disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man. Thomas Jefferson, Commonplace Book, quoting 18th-century criminologist Cesar Beccaria, 1774 to 1776. Clarification from the Founders. On every occasion of constitutional interpretation, let us carry ourselves back to the time when the Constitution was adopted, recollect the spirit manifested in the debates, and instead of trying to force what meaning may be squeezed out of the text, or invented against it, instead let us conform to the probable one in which it was passed. Thomas Jefferson, Letter to William Johnson, June 12, 1823. A militia when properly formed are in fact the people themselves, and include, according to the past and general usage of the states, all men capable of bearing arms. To preserve liberty, it is essential that the whole body of the people always possess arms, and be taught alike, especially when young, how to use them. Richard Henry Lee, Federal Farmer No. 18, January 25, 1788. Clarification from the Founders. If the representatives of the people betray their constituents, there is then no resource left but in the exertion of that original right of self-defense which is paramount to all positive forms of government, and which against the usurpations of the national rulers, may be exerted with infinitely better prospect of success than against those of the rulers of an individual state. In a single state, if the persons entrusted with supreme power become usurpers, the different parcels, subdivisions, or districts of which it consists, having no distinct government in each, can take no regular measures for defense. The citizens must rush tumultuously to arms, without concert, without system, without resource, except in their courage and despair. Alexander Hamilton, Federalist Letter No. 28. Clarification from the Founders. If circumstances should at any time oblige the government to form an army of any magnitude, that army can never be formidable to the liberties of the people while there is a large body of citizens, little, if at all, inferior to them in discipline and the use of arms, who stand ready to defend their own rights and those of their fellow citizens. This appears to me the only substitute that can be devised for a standing army, and the best possible security against it, if it should exist. Alexander Hamilton, Federalist Letter No. 28, January 10, 1788. The right of the citizens to keep and bear arms has justly been considered as the palladium of the liberties of a republic, since it offers a strong moral check against the usurpation and arbitrary power of rulers, and will generally, even if these are successful in the first instance, enable the people to resist and triumph over them. Joseph Story, Commentaries on the Constitution of the United States, 1833.